This particular class is for somebody who is looking towards, they made an agreement that they're going to work on this. And here's some tips on how to make a marriage successful. So it goes without saying that it's easier for couples to get along when life is running smoothly. But during tough times that are full of strife, difficulty, or uncertainty, holding on to harmony becomes infinitely more difficult for many couples. It's those tough times that test the strength of your relationship. And I don't have to tell you, the one of the biggest tests is betrayal if you're going to reconcile and move forward. So like I said, this class is geared towards those who have decided to heal their betrayal and to reconcile. Stressful events such as job loss, death in the family, difficult parenting issues, and most definitely infidelity, betrayal, breaking trust, etc., don't always, at least single-handedly, break up strong partnerships. Couples can get through tough times, yes, even impossible times, with their relationships intact, but it helps if they're flexible, empathetic, team oriented, completely on the same page, or at least relatively on the same page, have a willingness, a determination, a lot of patience, and common goals, just to name a few. So it's not easy, it's not going to be easy, it's going to take a lot. The glue binding couples, even in times of strife, in fact, isn't that mysterious, however. Here's what couples able to weather struggles together tend to have in common, and how to strengthen those qualities in your relationship. So, number one, they know themselves. Now, as an intrapersonal relationship coach, this was absolute fundamental and a big, huge one for me. I say this all the time, and it's worth repeating. I am a wedding coordinator, and I oftentimes, when I'm marrying couples, uh, one of the, or even premarital coaching, I say it's very important that you try your best to know as much as you can about yourself, because so often the two strangers virtually that are vowing their I do's have no clue who the I am is. So the more you know yourself, the better the relationship, the marriage, that's with your partner and everybody else around you. I'll get more into that maybe a little bit later. So the way people react to stress differs greatly and has a lot to do with their upbringing, their education, previous experiences, etc. Some people might yell when they're upset, others may run away and avoid a partner during stressful times. If the person you love is distant, it can bring about a kind of panic, the same panic you may have felt when your parent or caregiver was nowhere to be found when you were in a time of need. The ability to manage your own emotions, therefore, is extremely important. And trust me, it's completely understandable with the fears, concerns, triggers, and thoughts of the unknown, especially after betrayal. This can be an almost impossible task. There's no one way to react to stress. Uh, I'm very sorry. There's no one way to react to stress, but having some awareness about the tendencies can help keep marital problems from escalating. Once people recognize their patterns, they can create more healthy interactions. These healthy interactions give your relationship the best opportunity to survive and thrive. When couples have some awareness about their partner's patterns, it can help them be more compassionate towards each other. For example, rather than blowing up at a partner for storming out during an argument, they can de escalate without avoiding the problem by saying something like, I'd like to talk this through in the next day or two when we calm down. I understand we're in an argument now, but I would like to, retable this. And then hopefully when you retable the discussion, you're met with some flowers or wine or a trip on a cruise. I'm just kidding, although that would help. Number two, they communicate compassionately and fairly. Um, so usually men are all about fixing things. I don't want to stereotype, I don't want to be general, but usually men always want to go to their toolbox and fix things. But sometimes you can't fix things. You just need to be emotionally present for your partner. Now, empathizing and validating is often the best thing to do, and you have to do it as long as it takes. If you're going to make the commitment to reconcile, that means you're going to do what you need to do as long as it takes, whether that's 9 months or 9 years. That's just the way it is. If you bought yourself a life sentence and you made the decision to move on, then you're going to deal with this for life. Hopefully it doesn't take that long, but once you make a commitment, you stick to it, because if you deviate from that commitment, then that doesn't give the betrayed spouse any safety. People who survive tough times as a couple tend to give each other the benefit of the doubt. During a discussion or a disagreement that the other partner had good intentions, that they said. So for instance, it's virtually impossible after betrayal to move forward, especially during a heated discussion, because things can get derailed. So you have to the best of your ability, give your partner the benefit of the doubt. And hopefully that partner will come and say, while I was saying this, I didn't mean A, B, and C. Or you could actually clarify, when you said A, B, and C, did you mean blah, blah, blah? So basically, when something is misunderstood and there's hurt, it gets clarified. When couples communicate by sharing their personal experience rather than their judgments of each other, they're better able to navigate tough times. It's also helpful to reassess negative habits such as becoming defensive and stonewalling, or refusing to talk when you're arguing with your partner. I won't get into gaslighting and stonewalling. Reach out to me if you want more clarification on that, or watch another video, what have you. But most crucial, being able to keep the bigger picture of your relationship at the top of your mind, knowing very well there's going to be a lot of pebbles that stop your journey. We all argue, but the challenge is making those arguments more constructive. It may be helpful to remind one another this: I know we're arguing right now, but I love you. Oftentimes, a simple statement such as that can stabilize what feels like a very destabilizing time. Number 3, they share core values. Short and simple, whether it's religion, prayer, nature, climate, art, politics, volunteering, what have you. These are all tremendously helpful during difficult times, because sometimes when you feel there is such a tremendous disconnect in the marriage, you can always fall back on your core connections. Number 4, they accept one another. I'm not suggesting that you accept all the behavior or decisions of your partner. I'm suggesting that if the goal is to move forward together, it must incorporate working on accepting the all of the person, flaws and all. Accepting does not mean being fine with anything wrong or bad that they did, anything like that. It's simply deciding that I will not judge an entire person's existence based on the worst decision they've made. Research suggests that the most important ingredient in sustaining a long-term relationship is emotional accessibility, emotional availability, and emotional safety. This, of course, is completely tarnished after betrayal, so getting this train back on track is of the utmost importance. Emotional availability, or emotional safety, can show up in many ways, but it's the answer to the question, will you be there for me when I need you the most? This is about moving forward, and most certainly not a question that can be answered immediately after disclosure or discovery. This is one that will take time and work. So will you be there to help me walk through my anxiety? Will you be there to help me when I'm triggered? Will you be there when I wake up in the middle of the night from a nightmare? This is emotional safety. And I said before, once you make a commitment that you're going to reconcile and move forward, this is simply until. So if that means in 2 months, your relationship is back on track and things are wonderful, great. If this means in 2 years, you've only seen small strides, great. You stick with it until. Emotional safety can be really difficult to achieve, especially when couples are struggling. But with that sense of safety and security, people feel that they can be exactly who they are in the moment and still be accepted and understood. Couples who are emotional, accessible to each other, prioritizing making the other person feel safe, which requires respect as well as acceptance. These are all things that are going to be bricklaying. Respect doesn't come back after betrayal. Acceptance doesn't come back into trust doesn't come back. These are all small bricks that you're building, and these are some of the ways that we're building them. When both partners feel emotionally safe, that's when true honesty, vulnerability, and empathy can thrive. Number 5, they work through problems collaboratively. Sacrifice, or the willing to sacrifice, goes hand in hand with long-term marriages. Sacrifice, however, does not mean you put up with abuse or sacrifice something that matters to you for the sake of keeping relationships intact. Same thing with compromise. Although the term generally is regarded positively, it can set up a healthy tit for tat scorekeeping dynamic in your relationship. Couples who are adept at resolving problems in a way that feels equitable are able to listen to each other and genuinely try to understand where the other person is coming from. So basically, it's more like thinking, let's find something that lifts us both up. Let's find a solution that serves us both. This can be tricky and difficult, especially when two people may have been raised in completely different worlds. Now add the complexities of betrayal. That can be virtually impossible. But hands down, sacrifice, compromise, negotiation are the key to successful long-term relationships. Always try and go into the discussion with the mentality that you are both attacking an issue, not one another. And that easily happens, especially after betrayal. You start off on who left the cap off the toothpaste to why did you wind up in somebody's bed? It's like, whoa, okay, nothing has to do with each other. So again, compromise, negotiation, giving each other the benefit of the doubt, patience, willingness, everybody making one another feel emotionally safe, secure, so forth. Number 6, couples that thrive appreciate one another. Appreciation and affection top the list of core qualities among strong, healthy couples. Part of meaningful appreciation is showing it. People in healthy long-term marriages tend to have 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative. Now, that's not going to be the case right after disclosure and betrayal. It's going to be 957,000 negatives to a half of a positive. But as I always say, raindrops make seas, pebbles make mountains. It's a very slow walk. It's very slow brick building. For appreciation to have a real impact on a marriage, it needs to be deep and authentic. It's the difference between saying, thanks for taking the trash out, and I recognize we're having a hard time right now, but I see that you're really trying. Couples able to weather tough times tend to be mindful of pointing out the good in their partner. Yes, they've made some horrific decisions in the past, but if you've decided to move forward, it's crucial to provide regular appreciation fill-ups to one another's gas tank. If you have not learned about the love language, this would be a good time to learn about them and implement them. Number 7, they know it's okay even if things aren't okay. Couples are able to pull through even especially the most difficult times. They're able to trust that things will get better. Again, this can only be accomplished if both parties have united goals and evidence of consistent behavior working in that direction. Any turbulence with any promises may, especially after betrayal, one thing of dishonesty will make all your honesties questionable. So you got to be consistent. Consistency is like beyond key. All relationships take a lot of hard work. It takes determination, and it takes so much more. All those things I said in the beginning, determination, willingness, patience, yada yada. It takes all of those to be successful. There's no long-term relationship that without its struggles, hardships, trials, tribulations, and unfortunately with some tremendous hurt. And I'm guessing if you've watched this video, you've been tremendously hurt by somebody.